So, Alex Jones has been banned off the last major social media platform, Twitter. Why? Well, apparently, you're not allowed to face your accusers anymore. You're not allowed to face your abusers. You're not allowed to call out when a person or an organization are coordinating with other people or other entities, I should say. Well, colluding actually. You're not allowed to call them out anymore because that's bannable, because that's abusive behavior. This is bullshit. Alex Jones has been banned clearly for political reasons. The connection between the mainstream media and the social media platforms is clear as day now. Because Oliver Darcy and CNN for the past couple of months have been using a concerted effort to deplatform and remove Alex Jones and Infowars from all major social media networks. These companies came out saying, "Well, Alex Jones hasn't, violated the rules." And what does Twitter? What does CNN do? Oh, they start rummaging around and looking around, digging through Infowars and Alex Jones's Twitter account to find these hateful, bannable tweets. Apparently, yeah, they found some. But at the time that they were tweeted, they weren't breaking any of Twitter's rules. But apparently, of course, Twitter will change their terms of service every couple of months, make it more and more vague, so where you don't even actually know if you're, violating the rules or not. And then they enforce them retroactively. That's not fair. That is poor business practices, and it's going to come bite these people in the ass. All right? This is all very, coincidental because Alex Jones was making headlines yesterday, calling out people in Congress, calling out people like Marco Rubio and Oliver Darcy for their ineptitude. Well, as Marco Rubio's ineptitude, and I'll get to that in a little bit, and Oliver Darcy's clear, blatant bias and agenda to remove Alex Jones. So, if somebody is trying to attack you and ruin your life based on slanders and smears and misrepresentation of what you said, don't you think you're allowed to actually face your accuser and say, "Hey, no, you're wrong. Here's my side of this"? Nope, you're not allowed to do that anymore. And anybody else who's in your corner who wants to support you, and by showing everybody else the evidence of what has happened, will also get banned too by proxy. We are living in George Orwell's 1984. I was talking to people at work tonight saying, guess what year and country we're living in? We're living in 1939 Nazi Germany. That's right. Twitter, Jack Dorsey, and all these other companies are jackboot authoritarian scumbags. They say it's our way or the highway. You don't agree with this leftist progressive agenda that we're pushing and that we're allowed to push because we're getting great kickbacks from the freaking lobbyists in the government and multinational NGOs such as George Soros. They think that they can run the roost, that the ideology of the left that's centered in liberal progressive California, especially, refine that down to the San Francisco Bay Area and Silicon Valley, like 300 square miles of just pure disgustingness. Okay, these people are so out of the realm of what actually America stands for, America represents. We have conservative and liberal values that we uphold. But these leftists, and of course, leftist is too nice of a term. These are authoritarian, socialist, commie, jackboot scumbags. They want to control every single aspect of your life. Your thoughts, what you look at, what you buy, and who you agree with, and who you're allowed to look at. I'm sorry, but I have freedom. I have the First Amendment. The First Amendment isn't just about freedom of speech. It's freedom of expression, freedom of the press. I'm allowed to say what I want, but I'm also allowed to listen to who I want. I'm allowed to freedom of speech is based on the principles that you act as if everything is a public forum. Everybody is allowed to come in, say what they want to say, and then people are allowed to criticize and do whatever based on their opinions. But you aren't allowed to cut them off before they're even allowed to get there and say what they want to say. But no. It's okay if it's Alex Jones. It's okay if it's conservatives. Because conservatism and being like republicanism, I guess you would say, are now to the left synonymous with being racist, Nazi bigots. But this is what we get. But we're spoon-fed this. We're forced to agree with this because, remember, Google, Apple, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all these major companies, maybe a dozen or more, dozen to 2 dozen of them, control 95% of all pretty much social media web traffic. And all these companies are firmly in the basket of the left. Leftism. They're not liberals, okay? Liberalism is not our problem. Leftism is, because they are subverting the pillars of Western society, Western culture, the American way, with this globalist, oligarchical bullshit. They think that they are the ones who, the virtuous ones, the ones who can do no wrong. They are the ones who are supposed to guide us into the next enlightenment. No. We are reverting back to the Dark Ages. We're reverting back to the point where it's heresy to come out against the popular opinion. But no. This isn't the popular opinion. Socialism, leftism, communism is not the popular opinion. It's been artificially engineered to look like that, because these people who control social media control the thoughts and opinions, because they can silence those who they disagree with and ramp up those who they agree with. But then they say, oh no, it's still bipartisan, everything's okay. It's just that it's just a grassroots that everybody wants to be socialist. No, I'm sorry, you jackboot authoritarian scumbags. It is not. And here's another thing. Here, I'll get to Marco Rubio now. Alex Jones completely filleted him. This guy is supposed to be on the House Intelligence Committee, cross-examining Jack Dorsey and Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook and Twitter. These two people who are shadow banning and completely using their platforms to push a certain ideology. But no. Marco Rubio, he doesn't know who Alex Jones is. He doesn't know what Infowars is. Especially, he doesn't know any of that, considering the fact that Infowars and Alex Jones are on the forefront of this censorship. Okay? So, Marco Rubio is completely inept. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Why is he even on this committee if he has no fucking idea about what's going on? So we can't rely on the Senate. We can't rely on legislation to help us here. It's up to us and pretty much Trump. Trump is the only other person who understands what's going on and is trying to actually help us out. Alex Jones said, "Be careful. Watch, in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be executive orders to frickin' to curb this attack on conservatism, this attack on patriotism and rallying towards the American way." But no, because to the left, the American way is racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic. America is violent. Everything that is wrong with America is conservatism. They conflate this stuff. And of course, we're all Nazis too. Make America great again is just mean work sets you free. Like, what's the German term like that they had over Auschwitz? Work sets you, Arbeit macht frei. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Arbeit macht frei. Work sets you free. That's what the leftists see when they see MAGA. Okay? They're delusional. These people are living in bubbles. And their bubble only expands when they block and delete people like Alex Jones. because they can't fight. They cannot like stand up to his ideas, his opinions, because they are carrying truth and actual facts behind them. The left cannot deal with that. They have emotional arguments that they use to subvert and undermine and manipulate people to agree with them. They can't actually win in a fair fight, so they have to use these tactics here to silence you. They say, oh, Twitter permanently suspends Alex Jones Infowars for citing abusive behavior. Apparently, abusive behavior is finding the guy who's been at the forefront of leading the campaign to deplatform you, and you calling him out on that, and using some choice words, which were not even that bad. They were pretty tame. From what I saw between Alex Jones and Oliver Darcy, it was very tame. Oliver Darcy wasn't threatened. He was laughing inside. He knew that he was screwing Alex Jones over. He knew he was railroading him. But don't worry. Don't worry, CNN. Don't worry, Twitter. Your comeuppance is coming very, very soon, okay? I mean, who's next? Who is next? Alex Jones has just been deplatformed. Who's the next most radical person, or the next most radical group that's on the chopping block? PragerU? Steven Crowder? Ben Shapiro? Six Hexenhammer? 666? Who's next? Okay, where does it stop? Because we've started here. We've gone down that slippery slope. That like, oh, and they're going to justify it by saying, oh look, he was berating the victims of Sandy Hook and blah 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 blah. Fucking media lies for the past couple of years. Alex Jones has stated that yes, he believes Sandy Hook occurred and that kids died there. He just entertained other people's opinions on what happened. You're allowed to do that. He was giving a platform for freedom of speech. But apparently, since those opinions weren't liked by people in power, he's going to have to get removed. Well, first they use that as a crux to hammer away at him until these social media companies crack, crumble, and freaking say, okay, let's ban him because we're getting so much freaking flack. The people who scream the loudest are usually the minority. Okay? They have no other way of silencing people but then screaming at them and browbeating them and slandering them to the point that these lies become truths. Yes, Alex Jones. Yep, he said that Sandy Hook didn't happen. All those kids were fake. He said that Parkland was a bunch of crisis actors. No, wrong. He said that they were very articulate kids who were from the drama club. So yes, CNN put two and two together and saying, oh, these kids are pretty articulate and they're anti-gun. Why don't we prop them up and use them as the face of this movement? That's not saying they're crisis actors, okay? So it's these half-truths, the omission of evidence, the omission of certain truths, which is the slimiest way to lie, in my opinion. The admission of facts is the most slimiest way to lie, because you're still using some truth, and people will believe if they look at that at like not even scratching the surface, they see that, oh, they'll correlate, oh, they are telling the truth. But no, you have to look deeper and find out that, oh, I was being played. Now, here's another scary thing that I'm going to touch on. Alex Jones, besides Alex Jones, Cassandra Fairbanks and Laura Loomer were pretty much, and Jack Posobiec were pretty much the only people doing actual journalism the other day at the Capitol. They were actually, calling out our representatives in office. They were calling out the players behind the scenes who are freaking colluding and trying to dismantle somebody's life work, somebody's life's ambitions, and their what's the word? Their organization that they put together. No. Yeah. We can't have that. We can't actually have accountability anymore because we're supposed to just, check yes on the box and say yes sir, just take advantage of me, because we're not supposed to be people who think freely. We're supposed to be good little goldfish who sit in the bowl and just, let everything happen to us. We're supposed to just take it. No, 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 no. Alex Jones was was one of the few people who wasn't going to sit down and take it. Laura Loomer wasn't either, and she got kicked out of one of the hearings, one of the House committee hearings with Jack Dorsey. She was kicked out because she was actually like trying to actually get to the actual tough questions, get some answers. Yes, I know that she voiced up in the middle of the hearing, and yeah, there are certain rules. Yeah, you get kicked out, but she was doing it based on genuine belief that she was getting targeted. The people who were protesting Kavanaugh, they were paid off. Okay, they were paid off. Okay, yes, they weren't paid to protest. They were paid to get their expenses covered, whether or not they got arrested or not. But here's the thing: would they have been in there to protest if they weren't given the money to cover their bail for when they got arrested? My opinion is no. So these people were co-opted and used as a stunt to go after Brett Kavanaugh. But when Laura Loomer was trying to voice her grievances to Jack Dorsey, which was legitimate, no, she gets thrown out too, and it's the baby with the bathwater in that case. But what are we supposed to do? At this point, what are we supposed to do? Congress isn't going to help us. They're inept. You can see that from Marco Rubio. The guy is a neocon. He has no idea what the hell's going on. He's just like a yes man. The only person who has actually said concrete things that actually make things happen is the president, Donald Trump. He's there to help us. In the next couple of weeks, if this stuff is just, dropped by Congress and the Senate saying, oh, okay, Twitter, Facebook, you're okay. Trump is going to drop the hammer on these people. It is time that we finally take these motherfuckers by the balls and squeeze them, because we know that they're in the wrong. We know that they're in the wrong. And this, isn't it a coincidence that this all ramped up this summer? The summer before the midterm elections. They also tried to do this in 2016 to Alex Jones, but it wasn't good because he was getting so much traffic, and he wasn't, in the faces of people. He didn't give him an excuse to ban him. And he was pivotal. Alex Jones and Infowars was pivotal in getting Donald Trump elected. And they're like, you know what? This is not happening again. We are getting rid of these conservative malcontents who are screwing up the plans to make America into the next socialist utopia like Venezuela. Okay? So we are at a crossroads here. This is where the rubber meets the road. There's a petition. Let me see if I can find the link here. Let me look it up here. Well, I know Will Chamberlain had this petition. Here it is. Bang. White House petition. Go to petitions.whitehouse.gov. Protect free speech in the digital public square. Everybody needs to sign this petition. They've already reached their 100,000 goal, but they're over by like 7,500. It doesn't matter. You guys need to go and sign this petition. Make it 200,000. Make it 300,000. Make it 1 million. Okay? We cannot stand by and let this continue, because who's next? Like I said, it's not going to stop with Alex Jones. It's going to keep going. Eventually I'm going to be gone, because I'm Arbeit macht frei. It's not Make America Great Again. Remember, it's Arbeit macht frei. I'm a Nazi. That's who they see me as. So they've already like played judge, jury, and executioner. They've judged us. Okay? Now we're in the jury phase and the execution phase. But it just depends on who's next to be axed. So we need to get our act in order and get these Democrats out of office. If a blue wave occurs, then there'll be a little less, censorship, but then it'll ramp up in 2020. If a red wave occurs, watch how many people of a conservative mindset get banned, because these big tech companies and the mainstream media, when they're colluding hand in hand, were pissed off beyond all means when Trump won. But if they lose again in the midterms, and we're able to finally go full on them, they will drop the hammer so fast that they will shoot themselves in the foot, and it will be spectacular. Between the midterms in 2020, and that's if the red wave happens, these social media companies will be going extinct. Trump will leave Twitter and go to Gab. There's actually already rumors that he's going to do that. I mean, Facebook stocks have tanked. Twitter's stocks have tanked. Okay? These people are running on fumes. It's their last gasp. It's the rabid animal in the corner. We have them cornered, but they're lashing out and they're attacking as ferociously as they can in the last-ditch effort to stop us from winning the midterms, and they're trying to reverse the tide of what Trump is doing to make America great again. So everybody needs to realize what's going on, get out and vote, and stop this censorship, because Marco Rubio isn't going to help us, and I guarantee you half the other Republicans on that committee aren't going to help us either. Remove those bastards and put people in there who are going to understand what's happening and actually enact legislation that's effective in curbing this runaway censorship, this runaway socialism that's gone amok in our country. It's not, leftism is a nice, cute little word for socialist commies, okay? This is who we're dealing with. Jackboot authoritarian scumbags who want us to think exactly how they think, do exactly what they do, like exactly what they like. Because they're little babies. They're little whiny little 5-year-olds who are having temper tantrums because they didn't get what they wanted. And now they're using their positions of authority to squeeze and put us under the thumb. No. We're going to stop that. It's going to happen. Whether or not we win or not, we still win. If we win, we roll back the censorship. If we lose, censorship will go all over the place, and then Mom and Pop Joe America will see, oh crap, this is bad, and then afterwards, the comeuppance will happen, an Internet Bill of Rights, or a complete reversion of the fact that these companies consider themselves public forums, and they'll be considered publishers, and they'll be under the knife when it comes to the CDA Act, Section 230. This needs to happen. Something needs to happen. And if it's whether or not it be a Bill of Rights on the internet, changing the definition of these social media platforms to actually publishers, or executive orders coming from the president, it's going to happen. You people have played your hand, you've jumped the shark, and no matter how many more people you censor, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you will be screwed in the end, because you're the snake that's eating its tail. You're gonna end up eating yourself, and you're gonna be left screwed. You're gonna be left with nothing. We're going to bury you under the legal precedent of the First Amendment. Anyway, this is the Swamp Cleaner. I'll see you guys later.